Hi, it's Tuesday Truth. Welcome to The Glitch. And I'm Jen, your friendly farm girl philosopher. Just here to talk about some things that I think are causing division in our nation. And maybe what we can do as individuals to make that not such a problem. So, Monday we did mental exercise about tribalism and what it means and how we personally could maybe go against that a little bit, maybe be a glitch in the system. And today I just want to talk about some logic and how that relates to tribalism. So if you look back at tribalism, extreme tribalism has been a source of conflict throughout history. You can look at the Native Americans and the way that they warred over the land before the white man came. You can look at wars in Europe between Protestants and Catholics over who was going to sit on the throne of England. That was all tribalism. And you can look at our society today, the conservatives versus the liberals, and that's tribalism, and it certainly is creating crazy division. And even modern day Afghanistan, the Afghans don't really have a national sense of identity the way that, say, the French do, or Canadians, or Americans, or even Kenyans, or Nigerians. There's a bunch of different tribes living there, and I'm using the word tribe loosely. But there's a bunch of different tribes living there, and they fight with each other all the time. And I don't want to see our country, our society, come to that. It's a very dangerous thing in a melting pot where we have so many different ethnicities and religions and identity groups. It's a very dangerous thing to become extreme in your thinking and thinking that your groups, whichever ones you decide you belong to, are superior, and those groups over there, they're just not even human. So they're bad. They're bad. So you really need to make sure that you're not doing that on an individual level, because that just adds to the division in society. So we're going to talk about two kinds of reality: subjective reality versus objective reality. And I've talked about subjective reality in some of my older videos about that's just the idea of my truth, air quotes. That's please don't call it your truth, please. It's your perception, it's your perspective, it's your experience. It doesn't make it not valuable. It just means it's not truth. So if your experience is you got attacked by a dog when you were a kid, and you decide that means my truth is that all dogs are evil, see, that's a logical leap that doesn't follow from the example. So objective reality is better. It's still imperfect, but it's better because it's more of a common idea of a common perspective, I guess is the best way to put it. Things that multiple people can agree on. It's becoming increasingly rare, I'll grant you, but most people would agree that most dogs are good animals. So if you hold that objective reality of most dogs are pretty good, but you got attacked by one, then you can look at that one instance and say, okay, most dogs are good, just some of them are bad. So you're not demonizing the entire group of dogs. Does that make sense? Okay, So obviously, objective reasoning better than subjective reasoning. You want to make sure that you're getting perspectives from a number of different viewpoints, not just your own. Okay, now we're also going to talk about 3 kinds of logical reasoning. We have inductive, deductive, and abductive. All right, so inductive reasoning, it's kind of problematic. Okay, this is actually how a lot of scientific things are done. Scientific. You look at specific instances of a behavior or a circumstance or an experience, and you take those specific things and you make a theory, a conclusion about what these specific things mean. That can be a problem because if you don't have enough data points, then your conclusion can be skewed. Okay? It might not be the actual conclusion of what is there. So if your one data point is a dog attacked me, then your conclusion of all dogs are bad. See how that works? Now, when you have a story about an experience, it's called anecdotal evidence. Okay? An anecdote just means story. So it's a story about someone's experience. It might be your own, might be somebody else's. Like Nicki Minaj talking about her cousin's friends' balls swelling up and all that kind of stuff. That's just an anecdote. That is one data point. It is data, but it's one data point. When you want a lot of data in order to reach this conclusion, then you need a lot of those things, those anecdotes. And basically all data goes back to individual anecdotes. It's just a lot of them. The more you can get, the better your overall perspective of what's actually going on will be. That's part of the reason it's so dangerous to rely on your own perspective. So, the good thing about inductive reasoning is that you can take these specific things, you can make a theory, and then you can try your theory using deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning takes this theory of this is what's causing these things, and then it goes out and looks for evidence that either support it or falsify it. So you have a theory about all dogs are bad. Go out and you sample a bunch of people about their experiences with dogs. Let's say you sample 100,000 people and ask them about their experiences with dogs, and 99,999 people said, oh, I had great experiences with dogs. Growing up, I had a dog. She was the sweetest thing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so 99,999 out of those 100,000 experiences were positive experiences. That makes your one experience, although it's still valid because it's your experience, that means that the conclusion that you should reach is, most dogs are pretty good. That one was a jerk. Most dogs are pretty good. If, on the other hand, you found the data going the other way, and everybody you talked to, all the data that you assessed was that dogs are terrible and everybody gets bitten by dogs and they're just awful, well, then you'd reach a different conclusion. But you can't reach it based on that one experience. That is a dangerous thing to do. So, once you get to deductive reasoning, there are these things called syllogisms, which it's a logical tool. It's basically 3 statements. The first statement is generally an all or nothing statement, like all poodles are dogs. Okay? If that statement is true, then you can go to the next statement. Let's say you have a dog named Sarah, who's a poodle. Okay, so your second statement, so this is the overarching all or nothing statement. This is the specific statement. So all dogs are poodles, or all poodles are dogs, and Sarah is a poodle. So what does that mean on the third statement? You can say, 1, 2, Sarah is a dog. Seems simple, right? People don't follow this logical reasoning. They'll get it backwards, they'll twist it around. You have to make sure that the logical steps that they're using are valid. And you have to make sure that the first two statements are accurate before you can make the third statement. I'm not sure that's really working on camera, but... So in deductive reasoning, the most important thing is you must be willing to change your theory if the data that you are collecting doesn't fit. So you must be willing to say, yes, most dogs are good, or no, most dogs aren't good. You must be willing to go either way. This is what it means to have an open mind. It doesn't mean you just accept whatever willy-nilly. It means you're willing to follow where the evidence goes. That's what having an open mind is. Just FYI. Okay. Abductive reasoning is, I don't know, really it's something we use a lot. Easy to get in trouble with it. It's kind of tied to Occam's razor, which I know a lot of you have some familiarity with it. Occam's razor is basically the idea that the simplest explanation tends to be the right one. Okay, so you walk into your living room, there's shredded paper all over the floor, the dog was the only one there that you knew of while you were gone, so your conclusion is that the dog shredded the paper, right? Likely conclusion, simple conclusion, okay. However, if you didn't know, this point over here, that your sister came by with her son, who's a little bitty kid, and he tore up the paper, and she just came in, and he tore up the paper, and she didn't realize it, and left, well then your conclusion's wrong. So, abductive reason can lead you to the old, when you assume you make an ass out of you and me. That's pretty much abductive reasoning. So, I want you to try to think about ways that you use you experience these different parts of reality, and ways that you use these different kinds of reasoning. And so your challenge for today, I want you to just think and identify one time in your mind. I mean, I'm not asking for comments on this stuff. I'm not. And honestly, I probably won't respond to comments until maybe Fridays. But because I want to get through everything without getting my mind sidetracked on what arguments y'all might be having. But identify one time that you used your own experience to make a generalization about an entire group. Yeah, of people. Let's go with that. You had a bad experience with somebody of a certain profession, a certain race, a certain gender, a certain religion, whatever it was. Did you demonize everybody that had that profession, race, gender, religion, whatever it is? Did you? That's your challenge for today. I just want you to think about it. And talk to you tomorrow. Bye.